you. That's
Okay.
very good. Well, welcome to the, let me get this, November 11th, 2025 session of TAPR and HamSCI technical session. My name is Dave, KV0S, and this week, I was fooling a little bit with my Whisper Demon setup, and I tried running it off of batteries, and it did worse. So I put it back the way it was, and it seems to be doing okay right now. But I may ask for advice uh, from some people. But uh, it's fun to experiment. And that's about it. We've been also uh, dealing with health things and other stuff going along. So uh, those take up my days too. So next on the list is Nathaniel, W2NAF. Go ahead.
Thanks, Dave. I think the biggest news here is that we have officially, we officially hired our research assistant, and she has officially started today. So I get some more help on these projects. And I have her doing a couple major things. But the one that's most relevant to this particular project is I'm going to be having her be the person to install and configure the computers with the for the ARCs 888s and the Whisper Demon project, and also work on configuring the Whisper Sans and doing all the documentation and getting all of that in one place. And she is a full-time person, so she's not going to be distracted with things like classes. So
Very good.
yes, which that seems to be a struggle with a lot of the other students who are working on projects is, they have class responsibilities, and I am not. I'm always going to tell a student that they should prioritize their grades over, the projects.
Yep.
So I'm very excited about that. She's very excited to work on the project. She's also doing science analysis. So I've given her um the data from my ARCs 888 from the eclipse, and I said, here, go have at it. Work on writing a paper on it. So she's starting to work on that too. So over the next couple of weeks, I'm eventually going to have her come on this telecon and say hello. I said, don't worry
Okay.
about that just yet, but you will eventually get to meet her. Her name is Emma. And if you are on like the Thursday morning telecon or the Thursday afternoon telecon this week, you'll get to meet her then. So back to net.
Very good. Next on the list is Dave, KD0EAG. Go ahead, Dave. Dave, are you there? He's unmuted. Well, I see him turning his mute on and off, but well, we'll come back to you, Dave. If you get it working, just let me know. Next on the list after that is Paul, WB6CXC. Go.
Yeah, hi everybody. Yeah, mostly a lot of travel, but I mean, just back and forth between Northern California and Friday Harbor. But been working a little bit, had some nice discussions with some good folks, including Clint and Glenn Elmore on this new uh, redesign of triple eight inspired redesign. So making progress there. I spent some time figuring out the USB 3 and the USB-C connector and what it takes to make that work, because I really wanted to use a USB-C connector because that's the wave of the future rather than these bulky USB 3 I forget what they're called, but the ones like the 888 uses. But it turns out that, yeah, because of the USB-C connector, a multiplexer regenerator chip is needed to make that interface work. And it's not an expensive chip. It's not a big chip, but it's probably just not worth the hassle right now to deal with that. So going back to the existing connector. Also really likely going to, seems like implementing balanced input as an option, differential or, balanced input for use with like the shack board and stuff. These probe antenna designs would make a lot of sense, and that would not complicate the design significantly. So I think that's a worthwhile change. That's something that we can't do with the existing 888 design. So that's probably the direction that's going. And I've not made as much progress as I'd like, but some incremental progress is being made. Oh, other stuff. I had to replace a computer that stopped working. I probably could have got it working, but I wanted a new computer anyway, so I got that. And pretty cool. I mean, I ordered the thing, I think it was Friday night on Amazon, and it showed up here in Friday Harbor Saturday afternoon. I mean, it's just crazy, but I'll take it. And got that thing running. It's my Friday Harbor garage lab computer, because I couldn't use my laser mill with the existing, my laser engraver thing that I use for Whisper Sound faceplates. Okay, also, I'm now a volunteer examiner. I helped participated. We had just a couple of days ago had 2 hams in Friday Harbor that one upgraded and one's a new ham. And this Wednesday, we've got like 4 kids at the STEM Center that are going to be taking their ham test. So I'll be there as a volunteer examiner for that as well. So that's encouraging, especially the kids in the STEM Center stuff. So, although even old guys like me, it's nice to see people getting involved. And I guess that's about it. Back to net.
Okay. Next on the list is Clint, KA7OEI. Go ahead, Clint.
Hello. Yeah, I've mostly been doing characterizing methods of RFI suppression using ferrites and other things. Invisible below me is something that takes up all my workbench. Kind of interesting things. Validating a number of techniques, debunking a few other ones that seem to have gotten into the area of wives' tale in the amateur community, and eventually I'll get something will appear on that. But it's all very interesting nonetheless. I guess it would be ultimately applicable to this group because one can always make one's noise floor lower, right? Anyway, back to you.
Very good. Let me try Dave Witten again. Are you there, Dave? I see his mic is unmuted, but I'm not hearing anything. Well, we'll come back to you again later. Next on the list is David H. W6OQ. Go ahead, David.
Good evening, everyone, from lovely, warm Los Angeles today. Not much on radio this week, but quite a few things on the bathroom, so that's good. That's what I got.
Good. Next on the list is Dave Julian, WB9YIG. Go ahead.
Hey guys, lots of things going on here. Been playing around with Meshtastic a little bit, getting thoroughly lost in that, trying to work at. Got a Whisper node I'm trying to get working up here. I'm not sure what frequencies to put it on yet, but it should be interesting. And we got some snow today for the first time, about a half inch. So winter's barking on the door. That's it. All I got from here. Back to the net.
Okay. Next on the list is Jonathan, KC3EEY. Go ahead, Jonathan.
Hi everybody. This past or last week, I had a had some conversations with Nathaniel and Bill Engelke regarding the VLF data ingress to the personal space weather station server, and how to approach that, how it would be accomplished, the types of VLF data that we're interested in, the types of VLF observations that we're interested in. So I kind of gave like a high level overview of the types of VLF data and the types of VLF observations, but mainly data. So there will be some further discussion tomorrow with Bill, and I'm going to go with him, or go over with him some some of the key aspects of VLFRX tools, what it can do, and how it could work with the server, because there are some web servers out there. Well, there's two right now, but but there were three that utilized VLFRX tools and a web interface to display data, VLF events, signal information, plots, spectrograms, things like that. So that would be really, that's something that's actually really useful. So I kind of wanted to get that spearheaded, so we could get off in the right direction in getting VLF data supported, because I currently do have volunteers right now that are ready and willing to provide VLF data. So that's why that I think that it's important to get the ball rolling. I've also been working on the VLF interface board. That's the last board, the last of three boards that have to be designed. I offer much gratitude to Paul for designing the GPS interface board. That has been working pretty much without any issues at all. It's been working perfectly. So I just have to figure out the shapes of the ground planes, top and bottom, and I should be good for a board spin for a test. That's all I have. Back to the net.
Very good. Next on the list is Christina, KD8OXT.
That's me. Hello, friends. Oh, let's see. Haven't had a chance to do a whole lot of playing radio. We did have a nice visit, operating hours at W8EDU last week with some folks from a museum called Stan Hewitt Hall, which is inherited from scion of some industrial family, but apparently one of them was very into ham radio, and they have a history and philosophy of science graduate student who is putting together a period accurate ham radio station at the museum to honor this legacy that they have. So we've been giving them some tips and helping them get started and showing them how to do the shortwave radiogram. So that and editing special issue papers are the main things I've been up to this week. Back to net.
Very good. And okay, next on the list is Marius. Go ahead, Marius.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. So I just been working with Christina and a few other people from Case Western on a paper that mostly that kind of sums up our work for the April 8, 2024 solar eclipse. And so we're finishing up writing that now. Well, we finished up writing it now. We're addressing some of the review comments. But it should be an interesting paper once it's published.
Very good. Sounds interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Any other comments for the list at this point? Okay, I'll go on down the list. Next is Mark White. Welcome, Mark. It's been a while, a little bit of time.
It's been a little bit because normally I'm in the office working during this time now,
Oh, okay.
but today's a holiday, so I got to take off.
Oh.
I really was interested in that space weather station, but it seems like it's not matured far enough yet. So I went ahead and just bought one of those El Cheapos and put it on my roof. I plan on going back to it and building it later. But I bought a 2-story house here in Korea, so I got a flat roof up there. It's been 100+ degrees for all summer long, so I've never been up there to do anything. So I was a little bit late now, so I got a storage room upstairs. I'm ripping it apart and remodeling it into a radio room for me. So I put heating and cooling in it. So I'll get back online sometime this year, I hope.
Well, I'm sure we can help you with getting a space weather station up and running.
Yeah, because I kept looking at the things, and they just didn't seem like the parts were all kosher yet, and it seemed like it wasn't a good system yet.
Yeah. I'll defer to Nathaniel on that one.
Okay.
We can certainly walk you through getting a working system up and running if you all want to do that.
Okay. Yeah. Still like to try it.
And I am tasking, as I said at the beginning, I have a new research assistant that I'm tasking with trying to get the documentation up better for this. So within the next month or so. So we should have better support there.
All right. Sounds good.
Oh, okay. Next on the list is Michael Howen, AC0G. Go ahead.
Good evening, everybody. I got back day before yesterday from a kind of extended little trip camping in Nebraska, South Dakota, North Dakota, northern Minnesota, and then came back here. So it was kind of fun. I was doing some programming along the way. I don't know what, it's not ready for prime time by any stretch of the imagination, but it's been a nice education in how to communicate independently with K9Q radio with a Python stack and get it to do certain things like this. Just play back any on the air frequencies on the EI/BI shortwave listening manifest, and possibly if I do this right, I'm hoping it may enable us to get the WWV data collection and uploading squared away independently of the of Whisper Daemon, so that Rob doesn't have to deal with the problems associated with maintaining that, as well as the Whisper Daemon things. So that's what I've been doing so far. I'm learning a little bit about how Phil has organized and done some kind of cool things. And Scott turned me on to this time snapping to the front end of the per minute time signal from WWV or CHU for that matter, and some other features. So hopefully that will produce some decent data. Anyway, back to Nat.
Okay. Next on the list, we've talked to Paul, so it's Phil Karn. Go ahead, Phil.
Hey, howdy everybody. I was away for the last week in Maryland, didn't make last week's meeting. Not a whole lot to report. I did make a small fix to PCM record that should help make things a little more tolerant to timing slips when decoding FT4 and FT8. Other than that, I haven't really been working on software lately. Back to you, Dave.
Okay, very good. And let's see, next on the list is Scott Newell in 5TNL.
Hey, well, my letter for the week is Foxtrot. I got an FX3 dev board running RX888 firmware, and it thinks it's an HF103, which wasn't unexpected. I did the FMT and my Doppler adjustment was a total failure. I've been falling over bugs left and right, both here and at work. And I had failure and shame involving a fancy WWV matched filter visualization. So I think I'll stop here. That's enough for me.
Well, you know, they say that if you don't try stuff, it won't ever work.
I've got half of that working.
So we know that you turn out some pretty good stuff once in a while. So
Not this week.
yeah. Okay. Next on the list is Tom in N5EG. Go ahead.
Good evening, Dave, and everyone in the group. I'm still working on the quad channel unit. I got the local AI model using my graphics card, and I've been able to ask it questions about the FX10 chip in the board, and it gives me answers when I can't figure out what I'm doing. One question, it told me go find an app note, and I did and downloaded the app note, and it answered a bunch of questions. And a couple of others, it's not giving good answers. And looking through the data sheets, it appears that there's a hole in the data sheets there. So anyway, it's been interesting, and still working on board layout. Back to the group.
So Tom,
Yeah.
Nathaniel may have some help for you
Okay.
with his colleague. You might want to ask him a question or two about the data sheets.
Okay. Yeah, I'm hoping that the GPIF3 tool will answer a couple of the questions that I have, but Infineon hasn't made that available to anybody on the team yet. So I was trying to find answers in the data sheets, and the AI tool can go through them a lot faster than I can. So that's
Yep.
good.
So Nathaniel,
Yeah, so
have a comment?
yeah, my comment is that we have I have a new colleague at the University of Scranton who just came from Infineon. So he didn't work he worked on the internal chip design for the FX10, not the application side. But
Okay.
if there are things that you are trying to find out, or if there are documents that you need to get, perhaps he might be able to, he might know people. He's interested in trying to help in some way. So
Okay.
you can drop me an email and I can try to send that on.
I will do exactly that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yep. And I'm trying to see if I missed anybody or we have any newcomers. Have I called on everybody or given them a chance? I think so. So at this point, we're open for general discussion.
Thanks a lot, Dave. I guess I had one question. I had, and I think this gets directed to Paul, but I know for a few weeks ago, you guys were working on the time injector module, and I was wondering where that is in the development process. One of my colleagues was interested in it.
Okay, we've got there is a time injector box that I've made. There Scott was testing it for a while, and I've got several of these, but I've only completed one of them, and that is now, I guess at WWV, but I don't believe it's been installed yet and set up. So that that does require something akin to the dual output Bodnar, where you can configure it for PPS plus some frequency. In this case, we're running it around 80 megahertz, and using the aliasing to in the 888 to put that into a frequency range where it won't interfere with anything else, and that high frequency won't be making it through any filters in line to the antenna. Anyway, but my box, I've actually I sent out some documents on. Anyway, it's available if somebody wants to try it out. It needs
Yeah.
software such as what has put together to do the BPSK.
I have a colleague who's a professor down at Clemson.
Mhm.
And he's also a ham, and he has a graduate student, and they're interested in trying this thing out, and maybe, you know,
I could make a few more of them, and I think I got 5 boards, and I actually put together, well, I put together 2 of them. One of them I have, and it's anyway, if you like, give him my email, and I can talk with him, or however you want to coordinate this.
yeah, I think if that sounds great. If I'll just send an email right now, kind of introducing you,
Okay.
and I'll let him know that you can make some additional boards, and we can talk about how he might be able to try them out and test them and maybe use them, if
Yeah.
that's good with
and
you.
and no, that's absolutely fine. And yeah, I think my stuff is kind of scattered between north and south here, but I think I've got everything I need here in Friday Harbor to actually put together another one.
Okay.
There's planning on updating that design and including a synthesizer on, so it does not need the dual Bodnar, because in this case the frequency accuracy is not highly critical. So a standard TCXO is good enough for the sync injection, in which case you wouldn't need a Bodnar for this, just a GPS antenna. But that's another design, and I've got it waiting to pull the trigger on it, but I really want to see how it's working at WWV,
Right.
kind of out in the wild before, just make sure there's not something we're missing on that. But I've
Okay.
got the ones right now that would work with, with a Bodnar and, PPS outputs.
That sounds great. I will yeah, I'll send a coordinating email out about that
Okay.
then.
No,
Great.
happy to do that. Like to.
And then it sounds like you're making good progress on the whatever we're calling the TAPR-RX888.
Well, scratch good, but I'm making some progress.
You're making some progress.
It's moving along.
Okay, that sounds good. Do you have any questions about AGU or that at all?
Well, just my little presentation. How long would you like me to plan for? Because I can.
It's going to be 10 minutes. It's very
Okay,
short.
that'll be quick and easy then. The hard part will be trimming it down.
Right. So the way I'm trying to explain it to people is, yeah, these are really short presentations. They're like 10 minutes. It's basically enough time to get up and give a very high level overview of what you're doing and what you're about. And then you say, if you'd like more details, see me at the coffee break or come out to
Okay.
dinner with me.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to all of it. Will there be tables or anything, where we're gonna put up posters or exhibit stuff or anything?
Yes and no. So yes, there's a poster session, but there's going to be a few people who have designated posters.
Yeah.
But here you either do an oral presentation or you do a poster. So pretty much you're just doing an oral presentation.
Okay, well that's easy.
Yeah. And
Okay,
and
so that's
and there's really no place to it's not like the HamSCI workshop where there's a place you could demo.
well, that means I don't have to carry a bunch of stuff with me to New Orleans, so
Yes,
that's easier.
It's very easy. So
Okay.
so this is gonna be all about just getting up, giving a 10-minute talk, and then you'll be there for a couple of days, and the rest of the time, we have probably about 10 different HamSCI people going there. We'll be able to spend the rest of the time having informal conversations outside of the formal presentation. We can arrange to go to dinner or lunches together, and so if you want to be able to pick my brain in person, or Christina's, or Rob Robinette's, and or anyone else, there'll be a good opportunity to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's the best, is the informal stuff usually anyway.
Yeah.
Oh boy, I had one more question. Oh well. Can't have been important. So okay, anyway, send me include me in that email.
I will do that right now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, sure.
Back to net.
Well, we're in open discussion.
So
Yeah.
I had something. I was curious when Mark put you on the spot when you said that you didn't find the current incarnation of the personal space weather station to be up to what you wanted. What were you expecting? What are you hoping for? I'm just curious.
Well, I'm just looking over the parts list and trying to find all the parts, and then the verbiage in some of the errors, kind of, you can do this or do that. It wasn't very clear.
Which page are you looking at specifically?
I don't have it up right now. This is
Okay, so we can point you a little bit more in the correct direction, and I do agree that there is that some of this is a little more confusing than it should be. But okay, so if you go to the HamSCI website and you go to the Personal Space Weather Station project, you see these different systems. The one that you want is probably this one that says Whisper Demon SDR Full Spectrum Receiver. Have you looked at this particular one?
Yeah, I think I did.
Okay, this is definitely the one you want, and you can buy all of these parts. Yeah, so all of these parts you can buy. We do have the software that does make all of this work. And as I said, the exact procedure for doing all the installation is not necessarily clear on this page, but I do have a person hired that it's going to be her job to make that better over the next couple of months. So, and in the meantime, you can talk to people like Clint, or on this call, Michael Howen. They can answer any of your questions about how to get this up and running.
Okay, then this also got the cameras and the case and everything. Talks about that.
Cameras?
There's a camera involved in a case.
No, there's no camera. We don't have any projects on our website that involve cameras.
Are you referring to it like an all-sky camera for rural observation?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a whole different project that we're working on at Northern Utah, but it's not related to this directly. But I would imagine there's more than one person here that has such a thing or is working on such a thing.
Maybe I'm getting myself confused because when I went through the pages and stuff, it seemed like there was we were given one company makes the case overseas. I don't know, is it in Europe somewhere, and the camera goes in it also.
Are you referring to like the all sky camera project and something like that?
It could have been, yeah. Maybe I'm making it mixed up.
Yeah, that's a whole different group, but not totally unrelated. We're trying what's going on here. So what's going on here is mostly ionospheric observation and increasingly magnetometer type stuff to look at disturbance of the Earth's field, as well as some people are doing LF and VLF stuff, which depending on your local environs may or may not be possible for you. But most of this is the sort of stuff people could do even if they don't live in an environment that's conducive to getting a dark sky. But more HF, what the Earth Sun environment does to the ionosphere and everything else is more along the lines of what's going on here.
Okay.
But
well, I just have interest in both projects though, but
right, you can't have too many projects, right?
Yeah, yeah, I got a whole room over here full of stuff I gotta work on one day.
Right.
Okay, thank you very much.
So, so Paul, what has the feature creep left you with this week so far?
y- I'm thinking we just have just the VGA. Well, we've got the two SMA inputs going through a balanced low pass filter with just jumper and or resistor bypassing available. Feeding the VGA, I don't even know at this point if we need an additional amplifier. And then the output of that VGA just driving directly into the ADC, and then to the FX3. And, so I need to throw a couple voltage regulators on there. Need to, just manage the overall system. But as far as, functional blocks, and the input would need some level of protection, transient protection and such. But as far as functional blocks, there's not much more than that. I need to talk with you and Glenn, just to make sure. It sounded like, we were considering for improved input balance, common mode rejection, maybe putting, one of Glenn's little op amps, the current mode op amps in front of it for improved common mode rejection. But that VGA's got pretty good specs as it is. So I just need to work through that, noise and gain numbers.
Well, my philosophy would be try to get the line to your shack as clean as possible, but most of the heavy lifting should be done at the antenna.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you by the time you get to your shack, you've already ruined so much stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
Inevitably things get polluted by the time you get to your shack. Right.
Yeah, but if it's going to be using a preamplified antenna system anyway,
Mhm.
then we shouldn't need heroic efforts at the receiver input. So that's it's basically throwing away half of what's on the board, the current AAA. We don't need the VHF mixer thing. Don't need a bunch of switches for and don't need the programmable attenuator. We just look at reasonable filtering, reasonable input protection. Yeah, there's the SI 5351, and we need to have a proper input for external reference, built onto the board, obviously, and not much more than that.
Okay. Yeah. I was just trying to figure out if you had, I mean, a pair of SMAs for balanced or unbalanced would be fine. But I'm just trying to think of if the native input impedance of the VGA would be 200 ohms.
200 ohms, 100 ohms plus 100 ohms, 200 ohms if you're feeding it differentially. And, we lose some gain, we lose some noise, we throw away some noise there.
Well, yeah, I mean, filter matching and everything else becomes a bit awkward if you're not quite sure what you
well,
want.
I think we would have to yeah, wideband filter with maybe we just pat it down to 50 ohms and call it good at the input to the VGA. Otherwise, yeah, having a filter that'll do the impedance matching also but yet still be bypassable.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
know,
if you do that, you'll take more than a 6 dB hit in sensitivity, and which
yes,
I mean, almost everybody, well, hopefully everybody using it would need a preamplifier because they would hopefully be in a quiet enough location where that would be necessary. But I
yeah,
know,
yeah. So, and I'm, well, we need to consider that some more. And I need to run through the numbers, and I'll probably need help running through those numbers, the gain and noise numbers. I'm still not even sure how I analyze the ADC input in terms of, effective noise, effective dynamic range on that.
that's a tough one because the best I can figure is that the ADC's noise figure is somewhere in the 40 to 50 dB range. I think I came up with the number around 40, like 42, 43 dB ish, working backwards from how noisy, you know, plugging into 3 dB
Yeah,
loss with the switches and the attenuator and the transformer, and then knowing that the sensitivity of it, and
yeah,
then you're left with what following the VGA would give me this noise figure, and it's
yeah,
in the 40
yeah,
dB.
yeah. And I mean, because I can't derive that from the published ADC
Oh
specs.
no, no. Well, I mean,
Maybe somebody can, but I can't.
well, I mean, it also, I mean, 80s noise figure on an ADC is also difficult. For some reason, when I was trying to figure that out myself, I thought of Mandelbrot's question, Mandelbrot's,
Hmm.
Benoit Mandelbrot's question of how long is the coast of England? And
Yeah,
and it's like how much, what you, I mean, noise figure, what does that mean in a quantized input signal anyway?
yeah.
Are you talking about something like NPR, or are you talking or you talking about in the presence of no other signals whatsoever? I mean,
it,
it's a moving target.
yeah. So which is why I'm very comfortable saying that I don't understand it enough, and some help is probably, or at least somebody that I can share the blame with when it's all done would probably be handy.
Right. And the other thing too is that I know you can turn on noise. I don't know if it's on by default. There's a dither option in the ADC that is helpful to be on, but that's only true if you're right down at the bottom few bits anyway. I think the current iteration of the RX-888, the VGA is producing a few LSBs of noise anyway. But
Yeah,
if you're spectacularly successful in your goal, you'd have to add noise back in somewhere if you were under had under driving your receive system.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that was my wife got the phone there. Um,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a bit of a challenge, and do 16 bits actually bias anything? Apparently, the 14-bit equivalent ADC has got comparable noise characteristics. I don't know.
If you look at the specs of the ADC that the Kiwi uses and the one that is used in the 888, you don't get two more bits of performance. You
Yeah,
get barely 1 bit.
yeah.
I mean,
So
it, uh,
I'm planning on, I don't know, going with a cheaper down rev ADC would save a lot of money actually, but at this point, I don't know that that's really the issue here,
and
and
you can
probably sticking with what we got is the
and you can
the
get what is it, 14.707 bits if you run it at twice the desired sample rate.
yeah,
the oversampling, square root of.
yeah.
But anyway, I don't know how much that really
No,
helped.
I mean, but I think your analysis, kind of working backwards, this is what we know we have at the front end. So what does the what are the apparent specs for the ADC based on performance and what we know about the preceding stages?
Well, one thing I can tell you is that I have one of the better clones of the Kiwi SDR. It is not the fly dog, but another one. There are two 16-bit clones of the Kiwi that preceded the Web 888, and they're essentially clones of the Kiwi, except this one is done right, but it has a 16-bit A to D converter. There is no improvement in performance with those extra 2 bits in any way that matters. The noise floor is a little higher, maybe, but probably, well, seemingly because you have 2 more bits LSBs flipping around.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I can't get the raw A to D data out of it to know if, with no signal input, what's the residual noise level. But based on running signals into it, I think the contribution of the input amplifier submerges at least one, if not both of those extra bits in noise, in thermal-ish noise anyway. And maybe Phil could tell us what he's seen coming, in raw 16-bit numbers, or maybe you've seen it coming out of an 888 with no signal and the gain turned up. I mean, I don't know.
Well, you can easily do that measurement, right?
But yeah, I know you can. I'm just wondering if you have in your
well, it's a lot more than a least significant bit, put it that way. I turned on dithering a while ago because it is an option I have, and it makes no difference at all.
That kind of is telling in its own right then. I mean, that kind of, if it made no difference at all, that kind of tells us that there's probably enough VGA noise and whatever.
I did turn on the other option is randomization.
Right.
Where the low order bit, the LSB, serves as a mask to flip all the other bits.
Right.
And that did change the shape of the spectrum, the noise spectrum in the high end a little bit. You can play with that if you like. So there is definitely some digital noise getting in there, but it's small and it's only at the high end.
Right. And I think that is what they admitted in the data sheet, that's just sort of the fact of life of the silicon, right? More or less. Yeah.
You can turn it on if you want. It costs very little. I came up with like 3 instructions to run doing the scramble with no branches.
Right. Okay. Yeah, but that is interesting. Turning the dithering on and off doesn't make squat difference as far as you can tell on 888. That's kind of telling in its own right.
Oh, I wouldn't expect it to. I mean, I have an amplifier in front of it with noise. So
but I'm just wondering, barefoot with what the 888 out, how many?
What do you mean barefoot? I mean the 888 is always hooked to something.
Well, no. I mean barefoot 888.
You mean dummy load connected to the RF input on the 888?
Right.
Easy enough to do.
Yeah, I just haven't done it. I thought you might have done it when you were bored or something.
No.
You haven't been that bored.
All I know is that what comes on the antenna swamps everything. So.
Okay. Yeah. I mean.
So that's noise floor. I mean, so what about dynamic range? What about high end? Does that's slightly different than just the noise floor.
Well, there's instantaneous dynamic range, which is the ability to reject a strong signal that you don't want.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, what would be more useful, in my opinion, than adding extra bits would be, and I think, I don't know who I was talking about it. I think maybe I was talking about it with a while back, but maybe it was Phil. If we had some sort of equivalence of the shelving filter that we could switch in and out to add selective attenuation at various parts of the spectrum in a known manner that we could use to reverse and apply the gain corrections at various frequencies to. I mean, the idea being is like example, the shelving filter, turn it, if you see that most of your like 80% or 95% of your total signal power was below 8 megahertz. Well, knock it down by 20 dB. You know, who would miss it? But you know, when the bands are open and you see stuff pounding in the daytime, you know, on the higher bands, well, I mean, the 3 or 4 signals that are on the verge of clipping your radio are kind of wasting the efforts of everything else. You know, it's a tough call, though. I mean,
No, I mean, this is, you know, dynamic filtering, which, I mean, this will not be on the first rev of this new board, obviously.
Absolutely. But I mean, that is, I mean, if there were some clever way we could come up with prior to the ADC converter, knock out the top, you know, like 10 signals that are making the AGC get deflected. You know, I mean, you know,
I can tell you what that is right away. It's the
okay.
AM broadcast band. It's
Well,
always the strongest signals I see, even with the filter in place. Always.
Right. I mean, that'd be true. I mean, that's sort of low hanging fruit for something Paul could add. You know, an integrated AM broadcast band filter would not be a bad idea.
No. Although the depth might be something you might want to be able to configure, you know, maybe in 20 dB steps or something, because not everybody lives next to the strong AM broadcast station, just most of us.
Right. I mean, jumper, but I do know from experience, I have designed a filter that'll leave 160 alone, but not, but at 1700, knock the AM broadcast down, signals down by
Yeah,
about
that's a
20
bit more of a
dB.
challenge. Yeah.
With servers mount parts, I don't know how you do that. I don't
can't
know.
get the Q out. Can't get the Q out of the
Yes,
injectors for
exactly.
that.
Right. But then again, I mean, if it's down by 15, 20 dB at 1350, well, what is it? The graveyard frequencies are what like 12 something to 1450. I think that's a
Yeah, at the top end.
Yeah, I mean, if you could get those down, I mean, 20 dB. That. I mean, that gains you.
Useful.
Oh,
Huge.
hell yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nathaniel, I don't know how much you want us to continue on this technical discussion here and now, but
so actually, I was just about to say, I'm going to jump in a breakout room with Christina and Maris. They have some questions about their paper that I was going to go answer. So I mean, you can keep going as long as you want, and then I'll just
there may be somebody else who wants to get a word in on some other subject too. So
well, we're reaching like 10 o'clock here Eastern, which is about an hour. So why don't I stop the recording? You know, we'll leave the room open and you guys can chat and, you know, have whatever discussion you want until, you know, 5 in the morning. So and that's 5 in the morning Pacific time, by the way. So
yeah. Oh no. Okay. Well, hey, I'm gonna draw the line pretty soon here anyway. But yeah, Clint, this is